Date cuenta. For the Sister Cities Commission of Charlottesville, Virginia, in association with the Ixtatan Foundation and Guate Cuenta Productions, I am Lilian Cruz, and this is Exploring Huehuetenango. Hello again. We went on a bit of a hiatus for the month of August. However, we're glad to be back once more. By the time this episode is published, here in the United States, we'd be in the middle of a 30-day celebration known as National Hispanic Heritage Month, which begins on September 15th and ends on October 15th. During this period, you'll also see and hear of several Latin American countries celebrating their Independence Day. Guatemala is one of them, celebrating it on the 15th of September. But let's quickly go back to when this observation was suggested. In 1968, it was proposed by several congressmen to make it official to celebrate the contribution of Hispanic people to the United States. It was then approved and signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson. However, it wasn't until 1988 when President Ronald Reagan signed for this acknowledgement to be celebrated for 30 days versus a week, which is how it was initially observed. From there on out, this month recognizes the history and culture of those living in the United States of America, whose origin is from Mexico, Central and South America, the Caribbean, and Spain. Because this month celebrates the richness of Hispanic heritage, and because most demonstrations that highlight and represent culture are done so in the forms of fine arts and literature, to name a few, today's episode is about a young woman's perspective on culture and art. Music, to be exact. She lives in Huehuetenango, and with a quiet yet lovely voice, she expresses her enthusiasm and desire in becoming a music producer in a city that has enormous potential, yet isn't typically considered having it in this field. Join me in exploring Huehuetenango from a musician's POV.
Being honest, English always called my attention. So I always in school was like learning colors, learning things on YouTube. So when the scholarship present in my life, I was like, wow, this is my dream. So I took it. I am Edyth Santiago. I am 21 years old and I was born here in Huehuetenango.
Edyth is a charismatic young woman. She has one of those smile with your eyes kind of expressions, a twinkle that beams off of the richness of her dark-colored eyes, and two notorious dimples that just make sense to be paired with her and her soft, angelic voice. She was the recipient of an English scholarship sponsored by the U.S. Embassy in Guatemala and took up 4 years of studying it in her hometown of Huehuetenango.
We had access, that is 2 years. So in those years, you learn how to speak English and you help the community. Then I won the 3rd year that was about being English teacher. And after that, I won the 4th year of scholarship that was about being a tour guide.
According to the U.S. Embassy's website, the English Access Micro-Scholarship Program began in Guatemala in 2010 and is currently offered in 7 departments, one of them being Huehuetenango. With the partnership of different entities, and in Huehuetenango's case, in alliance with the Ixtatan Foundation, students are taught to get involved within their communities and are given the opportunity in doing so while putting to practice what they've learned. Edyth's performance granted her a 3rd and 4th year of learning English through the SEALS program, also sponsored by the U.S. Embassy in Guatemala.
It was a dream come true. For me, it was a dream come true because I accomplished something I was praying for years and wishing for years, that I was learning English, because I love singing. So I always wanted to sing in English and speak, traveling around the world too. And I felt really happy when I finished the scholarship, because I have had the opportunity to speak with many international people and many people that came to Huehuetenango. So it's really good experience.
Edyth grew up in a small family of musicians. When they were younger, her parents had once formed a band of Andean music. A genre originated in South America, particularly in the areas now known as Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Ecuador, and which is characterized using the pan flute. So perhaps her enthusiasm and optimism are stimulated from growing up around music and studying it as an art, or perhaps, if not both, it's just who she is, centered and passionate about getting things done one step at a time.
First time, I always like music in English songs. And I remember that once my father has music in his phone, and I started to listen to a song that caught my attention. It was Dreaming of You from Selena Quintanilla. And I was like, wow, I wanted to do this. I want to be doing what she's doing, like singing in English. She could sing in Spanish, sing in English. Like, that really motivated me.
For some people, discovering their passion can turn out to be long and frustrating years, while for others like Edyth, it's almost handed right at birth, presented in a neatly wrapped box with their name on it. Proof of that is this. Here she is, singing at the age of 7.
What motivates me and inspires me to follow these dreams I have in music is my parents, because they had a band when I was little. Since I had 2 months, well, before I was born, they traveled all around Guatemala in different countries. And when I was born, in my 2 months, I was with them in their concerts around Guatemala. So I grew up in that place, listening to music. My mother is a musician teacher from the government. My father has his own business. He's music producer too. So they both inspire me a lot, and seeing that they were accomplishing their dreams and they were following their dreams, and they made me see that music was was the key, you know? Like it moves my heart and my soul, and I don't know, I just feel free. And seeing that they could live in that way made me feel that it is possible.
Although Edyth has had her parents' unconditional support in following her dreams to become a music producer, she admits it's not been easy to vocally express her ambitions, amongst others. Perhaps in other places or under different circumstances, she wouldn't be seen as too daring and a bit unorthodox in her selection. But in a country where people and families still struggle to meet their daily basic needs, maybe her will is seen as outrageous, and to some, she may even be considered foolish.
I will tell you my experience when I was a little kid. My parents always dream and always fight to fulfill their dreams, you know. Many people told them they weren't going to live of music, but you know, thanks to God in life, my mom worked on music. My father has his own business about music, and they lived about music. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't see the difference that other kids experienced. Like for me, it was normal to see my mom working as a music teacher. It was normal to see them on the band. It was normal that my father worked in live events, doing the sound, the music, or working on a studio. There were many times in family parties that they told me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" You know that the question they always ask a kid. I remember that I used to say, "I want to be a singer," and let me tell you that I saw their faces. As I said, I always thought with a lot of wisdom and as an adult, and when I saw their faces, I saw them really disappointed, and they just stopped talking and they didn't say anything. So I just silenced myself, you know. Then the next time they asked me, I said, "Oh, I think I can be a doctor," you know, and they were celebrating. So deeply in myself, I thought, wow, like society and your own family sometimes is hard about it. After that experience, I said I wanted to be a doctor for a long time. Then I started saying, no, why would I silence myself, my dreams, just because of people saying things? And true, I was more confident about my dream. Many people has told me amazing things, like I have an uncle that told me, yes, you're going to achieve that. Sing for me. And always he saw me, he made me sing. And he always told me, yes, you're going to accomplish this. So in the path, you can see many people not supporting you and many others supporting you.
Even in the most progressive cities where art is at the center, it isn't always embraced, or at least not immediately. It tends to be challenged. History tells us that some of the most distinguished and prestigious creatives weren't given the proper respect or recognition until they passed away. So, why is it that art is sometimes greeted with skepticism and disbelief?
Being a musician or working on music, a lot of times it seems like you are losing your time or you will never accomplish your dream. And there are many people, right, that they follow their dreams and they get stuck. Sometimes people want to make you follow their dreams or to fix their regrets. That's the way I think. Because I have people that tell me, no, follow something sure, something behind that, something that they haven't accomplished, or some regret they have inside themselves, so they express it to yourself. I like to think in that way.
Art is an outlet. It's an expression, it's a statement, it's a feeling, and often it's a story. But it's not always an affordable one. The challenge in offering art to the world is having others believe it and hoping they too would like a piece of it.
People sometimes do not believe on art because there are no opportunities as we wish. So, for example, if people from Huehuetenango see someone singing on different places of Guatemala, and they are going to be really proud about it. For example, I can give an example with Ricardo Arjona. Like, people is really proud.
For reference, Ricardo Arjona is a Grammy Award winner, singer-songwriter, born and raised in Guatemala, and is considered one of the most successful Latin American artists of all time.
Last year I went to his concert, and it was amazing, and people are really proud of him being a Guatemalan, So I think that will make people, supporting artists will make people feel proud. Not too much ago, I've listened to an actor saying that art is very important, and sometimes society just don't pay attention to it until they pass through something really hurtful or really sad. Art appears when you had a really hard time, and art has the possibility to touch your heart and make you express why the things that you cannot say speaking. Sometimes people want to speak, want to scream out loud what they are feeling, and it can be because it is not well seen, or people is not going to agree with you. They are going to laugh at you. They are going to not be related or think you are overreacting, and that's why art exists, so you can express yourself by non-speaking, but still you can communicate things. If someone that think that art is not that do not see art, I will tell them to try to listen to music, to paint, to draw, or going to a gallery. Really think about what they are watching, There are so many wisdom words in poems. I know art is about entertaining, but it can help us. It can help us to see a different reality, to feel better, like really going out from that dark place we are, or make us be more happy.
Edyth describes an experience we have all probably felt once or multiple times, and that's because art is complex. It can mean many things to different people, and depending on the environment or setting, it can also alter the way we take it in. Sometimes we experience art individually, in our room or in our car. And other times, we experience it as a group, as an audience, in an auditorium or a museum. Many cities around the world have different efforts to create spaces so that art is accessible and affordable to all. Huehuetenango, like many places in Guatemala, showcase its own art, its traditional art. Perhaps it's not the art that people in other places often or immediately think of, but it's the art that its people know. It's the culture they've inherited and will more than likely continue to pass down. And although some could argue it's dying and that the younger generations are no longer interested in it, one thing is for sure. Anytime the marimba is played, it always draws attention.
Here is a place. It's called Conservatorio. There you can study like marimba, piano, but you have to pay for it. It's a less amount than a private music school. I studied there a time. Like the most of my life, I've been studying in private music academies because it's more like this place that is about is from the government was active because they closed it at time, but now it's active, and that's really helping because many people goes there and learn. They have beautiful inside concerts, like just the students have concerts once a month. But
The
most of
place Edyth describes is the Gumercindo Palacios Flores Conservatory, which opened its doors in 2011. Before it was categorized as a conservatory, it was known as the Regional School of Marimba of Huehuetenango. The change occurred due to the high demand of students wishing to learn to play an instrument. Students as young as 7 years old are accepted. As mentioned in a previous episode, Huehuetenango offers marimba concerts open to the public throughout the year in honor of different festivities. These activities are usually funded by its municipality. These are one of the ways local government offers art to its people through music.
like I really have this dream of singing and helping the community, helping as the way I can, like, and I think that if people make their dreams come true and they help community, we can make a huge difference, because maybe it's the lack of opportunities, or you can call it destiny, or the government, or we need support. But I can see that hope never die on here. Like, doesn't matter if people do not have food, don't have jobs, they can see hope. And if we make people feel hope, we can improve. If we as a society can show what is happening, it can be any kind of art, we can make a difference. I think Guatemala is a beautiful place with so many talent that has been silenced. We have been silenced for a lot of time, and we have to fight for our dreams. Now I think it's the time to show what is happening, to speak, to, and doesn't matter, if we can't scream, we can communicate by different things. As a citizens, we have so many dreams, and it would be a dream if we have more opportunities to show who we are as a culture, to show our talent, and make those that don't believe, because I think that's the main reason why people do not believe on this, is because they have tried and they had no opportunities. For that reason, they decide to continue with something they could do. So I think giving them hope again, showing them that we can grow in our country, we can grow, we can accomplish our dreams, would make people really feel that this matters.
This episode has been about a young woman's outlook on art and how she's experienced it in Huehuetenango. But it's also been a plea Although there are efforts on behalf of local government to create spaces for its people to gather and celebrate holidays and important dates, perhaps it's not enough for the demand and talent that hides behind the necessity of surviving. There are plenty of efforts on behalf of private initiatives in offering art exhibitions, book fairs, immersive experiences, ballet performances, plays, or theater concerts, to name of the few events that mainly take place in Guatemala City, yet don't always make it out to the rest of the country.
The most important thing I've learned is to never give up. That's the most important thing I learned, because I still remember when I learned to play piano and my fingers were tired and they hurt, but I accomplished every lesson because I never gave up. Like, that's the main thing life has told me, as well as singing. Never give up, doesn't matter what people think about you. English, never give up, because if you have a dream, you can accomplish. So I think that's the key, and that's the most important thing I've learned, to never give up.
Never give up. If there is one thing that characterizes the people of Huehuetenango, it's just that. They don't give up. This episode was made thanks to Diego Sack, the graphic designer for all the artwork for this podcast, and me, Lilian Cruz, producer, editor, and writer. Thank you for listening to Exploring Huehuetenango. Hasta pronto.